Hey everyone, it's Rick Becker, and I'm here once again to talk to you about Measure 4, ending the property tax in North Dakota. You can consider this another part in the series that we call Refuting the Opposition. And I'm freewheeling it tonight. I'm just, we're taking on everyone. And there's a couple of editorials, not editorials, letters to the editor to be exact, from some prominent people who are opposed to Measure 4. I want to bring it up and really address what they are claiming, which is patently false. And I want to, shine some light on this. Maybe have some accountability. Uh, like I always say, if Measure 4 is really that bad, why do you need to make stuff up about it? Why do you need to lie and exaggerate? Why do you need to scare people? If it's that bad, just say what it is, rather than all of these lies. So we're gonna go through that, and let's see here. We got a banner. I want to just show you. Go to endpropertytax.com. If you have questions, if you want to make a donation, we can still put your money to good use. Believe me, there is time. And we've got 2 weeks left, and we're going to do everything we can with the money we have. This is very much a David and Goliath situation. Okay, let's just get right to it. A letter to the editor was put in place by 3 of our most recent past tax commissioners. Now, that seems to carry weight, and we're going to address that because they 3 banded together because of that one thing that they share in common. They have been tax commissioners. So with that sense of authority, they are coming in and want the reader to believe what they're saying because, of course, we should give deference to someone who has held such an esteemed position, right? The 3 tax commissioners are, I don't know why I don't know what I'm looking for. I've got their letter here. We're going to go through it. And then I've got also from the House and Senate majority leaders. We're going to go through that one. But we have Rick Clayburgh, Corey Fong, and Ryan Rauschenberger. Those are our previous 3 tax commissioners. Now, interesting, in addition to what they share as being tax commissioners, they also share a history of leaving their office early. Ryan was the most recent one. Rauschenberger, he left because of some alcohol problems. Corey Fong preceded him, and Corey Fong left early to work for Odney Advertising. Can you believe that? So Odney Advertising is the entity that has made millions and millions and millions of dollars off of the state through the Republicans. Senator Hoeven, for example, primary source there as governor. And the legislature have poured millions into Odney Advertising, who was really elevated by Pat Finken into this machine of advertising, of lobbying, of really raking in millions of taxpayer dollars by working with various industries in the state through the legislature and so forth. So Pat Finken has moved on to Brighter Future Alliance. He created that dark money organization to try and affect political outcomes that the establishment class of the Republicans, the country club Republicans, the Rhino big spenders, and the big industry lobbyists. So it's a when we talk about public-private partnerships, that's really the public-private partnership that we should talk about more. And again, that is big industry players working hand in glove with legislators to get your money in their pockets, to create more power for themselves. So Pat Finken is on a tear, going after conservatives, trying to help elect Democrats, really, if it means that they can defeat conservative Republicans, because they have more power if they maintain that you have to play by their rules or you won't get elected. I'm going a little bit on a tangent there. Let me come back. So Corey Fong was tax commissioner. He left early. He quit. He was elected by the people. He quit to go work for Odney Advertising. Okay, before him was Rick Clayburgh. He was tax commissioner, and he left early to go work for Bankers Association. Okay, so that's what these guys have in common. Now let's talk about their letter to the editor. Knowing what their frame of mind is generally, it's getting to elected office and then using that office to step over into a position of power to work with lobbyists and industries with that knowledge that they have. All right, so it says, as former North Dakota tax commissioners, we know how taxes work and how they are allocated in their state. Again, they want us to defer to their sense of authority. Yeah, Cody says, don't forget the establishment tried to protect those who knew Ray Holmberg. Yeah, and I think they still are. Isn't it interesting that we still don't know the circumstances behind the death of the previous deputy attorney general? Very interesting. All right, so the tax commissioners say the largest portion of local property taxes, I'm reading from their letter to the editor, largest portion of local property taxes, 45% fund public schools, right? Another 45% fund critical local services like police and fire, 10% fund public parks, etc. All true. Okay, no one's disputing that. Then they say the proponents contend that this is going to be easy for the state because of spending being out of control. Well, spending is out of control, and that's what makes it possible for the state. I don't know if I'm saying easy, but it's definitely possible. Because they say because of its $19.6 billion bloated budget. Yes, exactly. That is true. But then they say Measure 4 proponents' plan is not realistic. In fact, it's reckless, and here's why. Okay, this is brilliant. This is the lie. They love telling this lie, not just these previous three tax commissioners. They're just repeating. They're being mouthpieces for the overall opposition, which is a huge cabal of their friends, the lobbyists, trying to make sure that we don't get tax relief, that the state keeps it and then spends it, gives it to all of the special interest groups, all of the lobbying type groups. And so that's what keeps them in power. This money goes away, they lose power because there's less money they can do with their little backroom deals and whatever they do. So they say of the state's $19.6 billion budget, special funds account for $7.3 billion, 6.2 are general funds, federal funds, and the remainder, 6.1 billion, are general funds. Then they say they're going to educate us. Okay, special funds are generated by agencies, constitutional funds, college tuition, or taxes collected for specific uses. For example, common schools trust earnings can only be used for K-12 education. University tuition fees can only be used for higher education. State gas taxes collected can only be used for roads and highways. So this means, they say, that the $7.3 billion in special funds cannot be used to replace local property tax funding. Okay, for one thing, they know this. They're intentionally misrepresenting this. Now, to me, intentionally misrepresenting something is lying. I don't know if you think that's too strong of a word, but it's lying because they know, and the state legislature knows, and the current and former governors know that we refer to this, one of these, the biggest one that's available to us, the Strategic Investment and Improvement Fund. We refer to that as the second general fund, or the General 2 fund, because there's so much money in it and we can spend it however we want. It came into existence in 2011. It started with a initial monies in it at about 250 million, and it's grown about 1,200%, if you can believe that. There is expected to be about 1.4 billion extra unanticipated money in the SIF, it's SIIF, in the SIF fund, which is one of the special funds they are talking about. That money is available to replace property taxes, but they are purposely putting it in the same category as constitutional funds that we can't touch, or gas and tax that's supposed to only go to roads and highways and so forth. They're intentionally doing that. They're saying, oh, we can't touch this. When I've had debates, my opposition has already acknowledged, yeah, he's right. They are no longer saying what these tax commissioners are saying because they know it's outright false. Let me tell you, let's go through this. We're going to spend a couple minutes here. Hold on. I don't know if you guys pulled up a glass of wine, a beer. I've got a little glass of bourbon here. You got to take the edge off the nerves when you talk about stuff like this and people like this. All right, let's talk about that Strategic Investment and Improvement Fund that these guys These former tax commissioners allege, hey, we can't touch this. This can't go toward replacing the property tax. Again, knowing that the Legislative Council is saying there's going to be not only the however much money is in there, which is a ton, there's going to be about 1.4 billion more than we expected. Okay, so let's do this. The analysis of the Strategic Investment Improvement Fund. This comes from the Legislative Council. It doesn't say that, I guess. Oh yeah, it says it down here. From the Legislative Council. This isn't stuff I made up. This is not stuff I made up, but let's talk about this. What our former tax commissioners, all three of them are saying, alleging this money that's in here, these billions of dollars in this fund, we can't touch it because it's called a special fund. I'm calling out your lies. Listen, you might be great people, but when you intentionally misrepresent stuff as a means to an end, that's called a lie, and people who lie are called liars. That's it. So let's go through this. All right. This is what they say we can't touch. I'm just going to go through some of the things, okay? Because they, let's get toward the end of it here. They spend well over $1 billion they spent out of it last time. And again, that there's going to be way more than that amount as just extra on top of what they were hoping and expecting to spend next time. So they transferred $5.5 million to an economic diversification research fund. Okay, they can do that, but at their choice, by the way, that was House Bill 1003. So it was their choice to transfer that money. Okay, pull up your beer, pull up your milk, whatever you're drinking. We're going to hang here and we're going to talk for a couple minutes on this. Another thing, $2.5 million out of the SIF fund was transferred to the newly created from House Bill 1480, House Bill 1480, to pay for success fund. Pay for success fund. It's this ridiculous, again, a ridiculous way of trying to pass money from the taxpayer through the state to the winners and losers that they pick. Okay, $11 million with Senate Bill 2012 information technology projects. 11 million for that. And by the way, I'm not talking about the history of the SIF fund. I'm talking about 2023 alone. All right. They decided to spend $8.25 million on a behavioral health facility grant. Now, maybe that's important. Lord knows behavioral health is important. Now, it's a grant, which means it's a giveaway. I don't know if that's the right way to do it. But my point is they had the option to do it because they can spend money out of the SIF fund that they are calling a special fund and claiming we can't spend the money out of the SIF fund. It's a lie. So let's continue on. They transferred $6 million to the State Energy Research Fund for an underground energy storage research project. So someone's going to, file an application for a grant to get the money, and that's where your taxpayer dollars are going to go. $60 million was transferred out of the SIF fund, which we allegedly can't touch, by way of House Bill 1014 in 2023, transferred to the Clean Sustainable Energy Fund as a line of credit repayment and for grants. That means they're giving the money away. $140 million of your taxpayer money that you worked for, that you missed your kids' school play for. They had to wake up every morning early when you didn't want to and work your butt off to pay your taxes, and they're giving it away to the players, the very people that are in these guys' club. They are there for self-protection, people. They're not there for you. I'm moving on. $10 million, House Bill 1018 in 2023, transferred to the Legacy Investment for Technology Fund. They call it the LIFT Fund, and they joke about it because LIFT doesn't actually work as an acronym, but it's giveaway money. It's giveaway to private business. $5 million transferred to a newly created bulk propane storage tank revolving loan fund. I don't know. Maybe that's a good idea. I actually don't know about that one. The point is they had the choice to do it. They can spend at will with whatever bill they pass money out of the SIF fund with its billions of dollars in it, but they lied to you and said we can't touch it because it's a special fund. That, by the way, the propane tank is Senate Bill 2242 of 2023. We're just getting started, people. Oh, there's more. There's more money. All right. $26 million went to private companies for visual line of sight for unmanned aircraft systems. That's for drones, private companies. And that is for House Bill 1018 in 2023. $26 million. Then $10 million, also in House Bill 1018, went for enhanced use lease grants. It's a grant. It's a free giveaway to a private business. So there's a business up in Grand Forks or by the Air Force Base, and they said, hey, you know what would be great is if we paid you to have property and lease your property to businesses that will come in by the Air Force Base. That's a sweet deal. I mean, gosh, I wish the government would pay me to lease my space to other businesses. That's $10 million. $65 million was a transfer to the North Dakota Development Fund with House Bill 1018. Another $30 million went to the North Dakota Development Fund with Senate Bill 2015. The North Dakota Development Fund, that $95 million of your tax money is going to be funneled through a nonprofit to private businesses. But hey, we can't touch that. We don't have the ability to spend it because it's a special fund. Because we're tax commissioners and you should believe us and you shouldn't question things. Anyone who questions us is crazy Looney Tunes. Just trust us. Trust us. We represent the government. We are former tax commissioners. All right, I'll start working through this a little faster here, okay? There's rural workforce housing grants. Again, a grant meaning it's free money going to private business of $2 million. There's a tourism marketing awareness initiative. $2 million is spent for that. $5 million was spent for that. $25 million is for a tourism destination development initiative. That's House Bill 1018. And that's going to private businesses who will come up with cool ideas for people to be a tourist in North Dakota. They wanted $25 million for Buffalo Park near Jamestown, but I think they put a cap on it of $5 million to begin with. So anyway, $25 million is going to go to private businesses to come up with cool ideas for people to come visit North Dakota. Great, maybe it's cool, but I don't want my tax dollars spent that way. And most importantly, for the purpose of this video, showing again how the tax commissioners in their letter to the editor lied to the people of North Dakota. They have every single ability that they could ever want to spend the money out of the SIF fund, which has billions of dollars in it. All right. Let's see. $5.5 million went to a bioscience innovation fund. That's Senate Bill 2009. $6 million went to the Pembina Gorge campground. Now, again, maybe that's a good idea. I don't know. But the thing is, they chose to do it with Senate Bill 2019. And then last one, or I guess two, I'll say, because there's so many more. I'm just trying to pick some highlights. $51 million went to the State Flexible Transportation Fund. Again, maybe it's a good idea. But the point is, they spent it with House Bill 1012, House Bill 1012. $51 million went to that because they had the ability to spend it however they wanted. And then lastly, $6.5 million was a short line railroad loan program enhancement. So I guess if you're an owner of a short line railroad, that's some pretty sweet money there. I don't know. So that's that. All of that was to simply point out and not leave any doubt in your mind that these guys are lying. Chad Oban and the Kill North Dakota, Keep It Local North Dakota. Chad Oban, also a registered lobbyist, right alongside of Rick Clayburgh, one of the tax commissioners I'm talking about here. These registered lobbyists, man, they are in a fight. This is their livelihood, using your money and giving it away and lobbying legislators who are malleable, who can be talked into this being such a great idea for North Dakota is how these guys line their pockets and how they fleece you and get the money out of your pockets. All right. I'm just looking here. They say Measure 4 doesn't add up, not even close. Yeah, that's really basically it there. Their main thing is, gosh, we don't have the money. And all these other funds are special funds. We can't touch it. And it's just one lie after another. We have the money. We absolutely have the money. Sure, if all of our spending was necessary, yeah, it would be tough. We wouldn't have the money. We have billions of dollars that is unnecessary spending. Let's move to the second and final letter to the editor. And this is by House Majority Leader Mike LaFleur and Senate Majority Leader David Hogue. All right. Again, these are not personal slams, but I'm holding people. I'm putting, a candle. I'm holding a light to this stuff that these guys are saying in their position of power, in their position of authority. They want you to defer to their authority, just like the tax commissioners did. And here, what I want to point out. Let's see. They say their main thing here is that the corporations are going to get a good deal out of this. So here's a scoop. They want you to say no. Our Senate Majority Leader and our House Majority Leader, they want you to say no in this letter to the editor that was printed. They want you to say, no, I don't want tax relief. I want to keep paying what I'm currently paying in property tax. And I don't want my son or daughter to get property tax relief, nor my neighbors, nor my other relatives, nor any of my friends or family. Nobody really. I don't want anybody in my town to have tax relief because I don't want commercial interest to also get tax relief. So here's what they say, and I would love to find out where they get their numbers, because sadly, it seems to me that they have done something very, very lazy and have gone with the North Dakota Association of Counties cherry picking of numbers of stats to come up with their own stats. This is a very great ploy that we see in national politics, isn't it? You guys know what I'm talking about. They say about $1 billion in property taxes per biennium come from corporations, a majority of which are based out of state. I want to see the numbers for this. I don't know where those are. I don't believe that they actually know that at all, frankly. Now, crap like that was put out because we have three main classes of category, and that's residential and commercial and agriculture. And we have about $3 billion coming in. And so the lazy people that are opposed to this say, oh, well, that's, like a third each, which it's not. And if that's the case, then these guys are like, oh yeah, it's $1 billion is commercial. Well, here's the scoop. Well, no, I'll go on with theirs before I correct them. Okay. So they say, I'll read it again. About $1 billion in property taxes per biennium come from corporations, a majority of which are based out of state. This accounts for 30% of the overall property tax revenue that counties, cities, and schools and townships receive. If Measure 4 passes, this $1 billion is shifted onto the backs of North Dakota taxpayers. For one thing, I want to point out nothing is shifted onto the backs of North Dakota taxpayers. North Dakota taxpayers will stop paying what they're paying in property tax. The burden gets shifted to the legislators and lobbyists that they don't have that $1 billion to hand out to private companies any longer. All right. Then they go on and say, in fact, only 42%, or about 1.3 billion of the property taxes per biennium are from residential owners. That means Measure 4 would shift the other 58% of property taxes paid by for-profit and out-of-state companies onto North Dakotans with limited means to pay for it. Again, anything you pay in property taxes, you won't be paying for. The burden is shifted on the legislature to replace it with the amount of money that they're spending on stuff like I just read off to you. Now, here's the thing. Here's where they are being extensively dishonest. They say 42% are from residential owners. Now, there will be a bill introduced. So there's pipelines, railroads, there are airports, airlines. There are things that are taxed it's called centrally assessed because they extend through multiple counties. You can't just have a county doing it and a different county doing it. So it's centrally assessed. The state gets the tax and then it's distributed. Well, there's a bill that's in place that's going to keep those taxes in place so the legislature won't have to replace it. It's only, it's like a bill, $100 million is all. It's a small part. But if that's the case, then actually 47% of property taxes are paid by residential property. Okay, so whether it's 42 or 47 maybe isn't the biggest thing. But what these guys are trying to tell you is whatever the percentage is, all of the rest are bad guys, right? All of the commercial, all of the agriculture, they, in their words, paid by for-profit and out-of-state companies. So let me ask you, agriculture, 20%, if we go again by taking the centrally assessed out, here's what the numbers are. 47% residential, 32% commercial, 20% agricultural. Well, you'll say, well, that only adds up to 99. That's right, because there's a tenth, some number of tenths after each of those categories. So you got 47% residential, 32% commercial, 20% agriculture. So 20% agriculture. Are you saying that the majority of that is out of state? There's a small amount of out of state in agriculture, but it's very small percentage wise. I know we hear about it, right? Because they need a boogeyman, but a very small percentage is out of state. And as far as corporations, what they mean by what they shouldn't technically be saying corporations, they're business entities. If you form an LLC, or if you have a friend and you guys form an LLP, limited liability company or partnership, if you've got a various trust type of organization, a lot of farms are forming an entity for liability protection and stuff, right? So those are considered, in what these guys are saying, corporations. Well, that's not a big, bad, evil Walmart, is it? That's like you and someone you know getting together and trying to make a living in North Dakota. So they include that. So that's the 20% agriculture. Now let's talk about the 32% commercial. What they're referring to is every single little building, big, small, whatever, in your town, most of which are owned by people who live in or near your town or in North Dakota. And yes, there is a percentage that are owned by out of state. And yes, the big money numbers at the top are going to be the Walmarts and so forth. But what these guys are trying to tell you is that everything that's not residential is out of state and big business. And it's a crock. Every small mom and pop business is included in that. Every farmer is included in that. These are North Dakotans. So quit exaggerating, quit lying. Give us real numbers. If the measure is bad, let's base it on truth, not on lies. Well, that's basically all that these guys say. They say, well, gosh, we would have to, if this passes, we have to raise the sales tax from 5% to 11%. Again, what you've got are the majority leaders in the House and the Senate acting as though all of their spending is necessary spending. And yes, if we're going to completely cover the replacement with new taxes, I'm sure their numbers are right. I haven't done the calculation because we don't need to do the calculation. But I just want people to be aware, you've got people in authority that should deserve our respect, making up stories and exaggerations and outright lies to get you to vote no on Measure 4. And that's the object of what I'm trying to convey here tonight. It's just not necessary. And yes, we have many examples, and there are so many lies. We're trying to hit them all. But tonight, we know that saying that we can't tap into special funds is an outright lie. The money's there. They're trying to make it seem like there's just not enough money. Look at our spending. Do you know that from 21 to 23, non-federal state spending increased by $2 billion? They want you to look at the funds because they know that not everyone understands all the different funds. They want you to look at the various funds, and they are telling you, oh, we can't spend these. We can't spend these. We could only spend from this one fund, and there's not enough. Shut up. Look at the spending. Look at the spending spree for 12 to 15 years. The money is there, folks. And then the other guys are trying to make you envious and say, well, We're going to say no to property tax relief because for-profit corporations are going to get relief. Well, let me tell you, one of the things that they don't mention in here is that the big bad evil Walmarts, which, by the way, if you're going to be one of these people that are saying I'm not voting yes on this because Walmart is going to get a break, you better not ever shop at Walmart, because that makes you a hypocrite, my friend. Big old hypocrite with a capital H, because you're going to give them your business, but you're going to say no to everyone in the state getting property tax relief because you don't want them to get relief. And not only are you a hypocrite, but you're naive as hell, because Walmart and the corporations like them get huge property tax breaks routinely. And yes, when their break is up, when their 10 or 15 years of never paying property taxes is finally up, yep, they start paying big property taxes. But they got that 10 or 15 years of no property taxes to build up that money. Did you get that? I don't think you did. So when they say no to property tax relief for everyone because we don't want corporations to get it, these are the same. The House Majority Leader and the Senate Majority Leader are behind. Here we go. Legislative Council Memo 25.9132.01000, state funding provided to businesses. You know what the tally is? 592,835,000. This is under the House Majority Leader and Senate Majority Leader's watch. How about this? Legislative Council Memo 23.9589.01000. Grant funding for the 23-25 biennium. Grant funding. That means giveaway money, right? Under the leadership of the House Majority and Senate Majority Leaders, who are telling you to vote no on relief for yourself because you shouldn't, because we don't want to give tax relief to businesses. And yet grant funding, which is giveaways to businesses, amounted to, where's my total? Holy crap, there's so much here. Hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. So there's just so much hypocrisy here. And the thing is, they've got their play money. They love the game they're in. They're powerful. They're the group of big spending legislators and lobbyists that just love this idea of keeping the spigot on, baby. Keep that spigot on. Keep the tax money coming in. I just listened to Rush Limbaugh. Someone sent me a video from him from 2012, right after the 2012 Measure 2 was killed. And the question was, what are they going to do? What's North Dakota going to do with the extra money? And Rush was saying, well, I don't know what they're going to do, but what they should do is get rid of taxes. And this is our opportunity to do that. That's all I've got for you tonight. There's a lot there, a lot to unpack. And if you stuck with me this long, thank you for your patience. I am ending it here. Good night.